Ancient pirate tip. When traveling the Grand Line, watch out for horny hippos.
We've got 7 crew members here to have an adventure. Cross the Grand Line with you.
Woohoo!
We'll cross the Grand Line and have a grand time as we make our dreams come true.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll ride the knock-up stream to achieve our dreams. Together we watch season 3.
Yeah! Ba-da-ba-bow, start the show. Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 60 of King of the What Now. We're a podcast that discusses the One Piece anime. I'm your host, Joel, longtime fan of the series, and also, I'm a priest who's praying with all his heart that my boyfriend will stop being evil.
I'm Curtis. I'm a co-host and a One Piece novice. Also, I'm a baseball announcer.
And I'm Kat. I'm the ghost of the show, and I am getting distracted because Joel is finger gunning at me. I'm a cursed sword granted by the gods, but oops, the humans f***ed up.
This week, instead of watching the regular anime One Piece episodes, we have decided to watch the 5th One Piece movie. Hooray! That's One Piece, Curse of the Sacred Sword, this is a Zoro movie, but not really, exclamation mark.
With a baseball short at the end.
With a baseball short included in there. So, as always, we turn to our One Piece novice to regale us with the succinct summary. And if you try to give any details about all those rituals and the pearls and whatever, I'm going to immediately cut that out.
First, you step up the altar, and then you take... You seem unamused by my joke that I make every time. Okay.
I'll let my silence speak the volumes for me.
So, Straw Hats arrive on an island, and they hear about a mysterious sword called the...
7-star sword?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay.
The 7-star sword, which is supposed to be very valuable and also cursed. Nami is more interested in the value. Everyone else is interested in the curse. They are trying to escape the island when the Marines attack, but Zoro gets lured in by
a text message.
Yes.
He's sitting there, his phone vibrates, he opens it and it goes, "You up?" and he immediately leaves without telling anyone.
Yep. So Zoro goes to answer his booty call, and he gets to the center of the island, and he finds an old friend there, whose name escapes me.
Saga. Yeah, his name is Saga, which is such an unusual name for a character, right? But apparently he was friends with Zoro back in the day or something, and so they're best friends, even though he's never been mentioned.
Yep. So the rest of the Straw Hats, though, they are trying to escape the Marines, and they make their ship fly off a ramp, which puts them into the water somewhere in the middle of the island.
Yeah.
And there they discover a village, which initially isn't welcoming to them because everybody hates pirates at the beginning of a One Piece movie, and then everybody is befriended by the Straw Hats, which immediately happens when they help defend against a bunch of attacking Marines with swords, who are accompanied by Zoro. Zoro is there helping out his buddy Saga, who is leading these Marines. He steals some orbs from the villagers and then leaves, leaving the Straw Hat crews to go, "Oh, that's weird." Oh, the only people who aren't with them are Luffy and Usopp, who instead are lost on the island going through some tunnels.
Yeah, so they saw a lady that they thought might have been able to lead them to Zoro, so Luffy did his Gum Gum Rocket, Usopp tried to stop him but ended up getting carried away, and then they got lost and they had some adventures in some catacombs, basically.
Yeah. So they're roaming around through these catacombs throughout this time, and
they're
Zoro...
trying out their Indiana Jones cosplays, basically.
Oh yeah, lots of booby traps. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Zoro takes the orbs back to Saga, who immediately dumps them down a well.
These are worthless! Into the trash.
Yep. So, lo and behold, that well, at the bottom of that well, is the tunnels that Luffy and Usopp ran, and they find the orbs, and then they escape the tunnels with the orbs and end up back at the village.
Yes. Oh, also at this point it's been revealed that Saga is also not only Zoro's childhood friend, he is also in possession of the 7-star sword, and so he's...
Or more specifically, the 7-star sword is in possession of Saga.
Yes.
So he's been possessed by the demonic powers of the sword.
The bloodlust.
Yeah. the only way they can contain it is using these 3 orbs, and there's a whole ritual they have to do, which involves many steps. And
it's very relevant and very interesting, and they don't explain it 6 or 7 times in this movie.
No, not at all. Anyways, we get the orbs back to the village, and they're like, "Oh, the orbs! You found them! Good job!" And then they initiate the ritual. So they have to take the orbs. Each of the orbs goes to a different tower around the island, and then the head priestess, who is/was the fiance or wife, it's kind of unclear, I think fiance,
Yes.
of Saga, and her name is Maya,
Yes.
does a ritual in the center of the island on another tower, and it activates the orbs and creates a force shield around the island because the sword gets extra strength on the night of the blood moon, so the red moon, and so it's like blocking that power out, but then he breaks through it and then gets extra power, and then him and Luffy fight, and Luffy wins. No, Luffy steps back because Zoro comes back. They had briefly fought at one point earlier in the movie, but now Zoro comes back to finish the job, and he's like, "I'm gonna have to kill my friend," and so he cuts his friend down when he's at like, I can't remember if he has his power at the time or if he just lost his power. One of the two. It's somewhat irrelevant. He cuts down his friend, and lo and behold, the friend or Saga is like cleansed of the curse.
Yep.
Through the power of the prayers of Maya and also through Zoro's assistance, and everybody's happy at the end of the movie. And also people are now understand why Zoro was like apparently rogue for a bit. He was helping a friend that he had promised to help.
Yep.
And that's basically the end. Do you want to do the summary of the baseball one too?
The summary of the baseball one is that the Straw Hats are playing baseball against the Fishman Pirates.
And they win.
They of course they win through the power of friendship.
Also, they have a very loose grasp of the rules of baseball.
Here's the thing, though. Baseball is so huge in Japan that I'm positive that was intentional.
Yep, but you have things like Usopp trying to slide to home base, but his nose gets stuck in the ground. You have something where Zoro tries to use 3 bat style in order to hit the baseball bat, and you have what's the other one? Sanji hits a home run with his foot. He kicks the baseball, and they're not using baseballs. They're using weird spiky iron balls, but he gets so distracted by Nami's beauty that he gets out anyways. It's very forgettable. If you saw the One Piece soccer special, this is that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
And as far as I know, those are the only 2 super short 5-minute shorts that are just, here's all the characters that you've seen before.
Now playing sports.
I
hope they do another one. Like
crossover with Space Jam.
Yeah, they do a basketball one, and then they need to do a lacrosse one, and then just get more and more obscure. Like, I don't know,
darts or something.
That game that they used to play in the ancient Aztec civilization.
Frisbee?
No, the one where you like bumped the ball with your hip through.
Right, the one from El Dorado.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, which I'm assuming El Dorado is a 100% accurate depiction of the ancient Aztecs and or Mayans. I don't know which one they were going for in El Dorado. Anyways, that's beside the point.
That has been your succinct summary. All right, folks, how are we feeling about this movie?
Some kind of way. I really appreciated that Luffy wasn't necessarily the main character. Yeah. Like, I feel like we've been asking for a movie that wasn't about Luffy for a while, and I like that he just sort of screwed around for most of it.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I his fights were kind of unsatisfying for me. So the one thing that I liked was something that Kat pointed out, and that's his punches come a lot quicker.
Oh, sure.
So all of his, as opposed to taking a large gap and him thinking and then using a move and then another gap and then another move. It's just like rapid fire. Gum pistol, Gatling, spear. It's like him just dodging around, and it's really good. It was
very fluid. I will agree with that point. The humor for Luffy and Usopp doing their Indiana Jones thing was pretty funny. Luffy the entire time is like, this is so fun, and Usopp's like, oh my god, I'm gonna die!
These tunnels are full of adventure, as they're like, as it's collapsing around them.
Oh So they, at first, Luffy and Usopp get momentarily separated. Or not at first, it's after a brief run-in with the Saga boys. They're called the Marine Dojo, but I think Saga Boys, they're a boy band. But they get separated for like a moment, and then when Usopp sees Luffy again, they're all super excited, and Luffy goes, "Oh, I found a thing!" And Usopp goes, "What'd you find?" And it's just this rock, and Luffy's like, "We gotta run!" They start running in the opposite direction. So good. But in terms of thumbs up, thumbs down, thumb in the middle, this movie gets a solid thumb in the middle, bordering on almost thumbs down. It's not my jam, and I was really hoping that Zoro would feature more predominantly. It's true that he gets the finishing blow, but you still have a solid, 5 minutes of Luffy being the hero, while Zoro's like, "Oh, I'm hurt from this small wound."
Mm-hmm. Well, most of his shoulder.
I guess. We've seen him tank hits that are like his entire body almost being cut in half.
Yeah.
So,
it was a little bit unsatisfying there.
yes.
Maybe it was the emotional turmoil.
Oh, yeah,
of
he was
dealing
just
with
so...
a friend. And...
Yeah, I don't... People have... I've seen some people complain that Zoro doesn't show any emotion, which is mostly true. If you have a scene where everyone's sad, he probably isn't going to show it, and after Vivi didn't join the crew, he told everyone else to, suck it up sort of thing. But if he was supposed to be feeling some kind of emotion, they did not depict it very well through his actions or his reactions or his words. It seemed like he genuinely cared about Saga, but it was mostly just like, "Oh, your pride, focus on your pride."
He's very stoic.
Yep.
He's like that generic, man can't show emotions sort of character.
Exactly.
And this episode definitely amplified that.
Absolutely, yeah. And then we've seen this in a lot of other movies. There's the main big bad guy who's gonna be the final threat, but then he has underlings that are noteworthy. And I mean, that's true of the series, too. Enru has his priests, and Crocodile had the numbered agents. In this movie, there were 3 of them, 2 of which aren't even named in the movie itself. I had to go to the wiki to find out that their names are Bismarck and Bu Kong. And then, at the end of the movie, when they're doing the Pearl Ritual thing, each one of those guys is dispatched to a different tower, but none of them do anything at all. They're immediately taken out by one of the Straw Hats without hesitation.
I was very disappointed by the different towers. I thought we were going to see some more, fighting with the other crew members.
Yep.
And there was barely anything.
Mm-hmm. That movie was an hour and a half, and we got to the hour and 10-minute mark. I'm like, oh, are we now going to go into the final battle? That's cool. I thought this was a shonen battle, and I know that a lot of the One Piece arcs have this build up, and there's a lot of time to explore the island, and they slowly befriend people. In a movie, you have less time, and I assume that in a movie, you want people to be on board and to watch. You want fans to show up and be happy with it, and you want new people to show up and say, "Wow, this is interesting, let me look into it." I think character interactions with the villains would be more interesting than Maya being sad that it's her fault that her boyfriend is evil now. Or fiancé or betrothed, whatever word. They never actually specify. She gets cut off as she's trying to explain, basically.
Yeah, they kind of dwell a little bit too much on the backstory. Mm-hmm. You could have made it a little bit snappier. Yeah,
I agree. And then I don't want to harp on this, but I feel like a lot of the conversations that come up are, we're going to reiterate that this sword is a bad thing, and on the night of the red moon, that's coming up, by the way, that bad things are going to happen, and we are good people, so we don't want bad things to happen. Shut up, we get it. God, the fact that their eyes turn red when they start using the power should be indication enough that they're bad.
I did really appreciate that all of the Straw Hats got a fight. Nami doesn't always get to actually fight a bad guy, and she was participating in her fight against the underling. So that was cool. Robin got to do her archaeology thing, so that was cool. Chopper got to do some doctoring. So, at least they all got to do something.
True. There were no poneglyphs, though.
There were no poneglyphs. Curtis had a very great prediction when Luffy fell into a hole. He was like, there's going to be a poneglyph at the bottom of that hole. There wasn't, but there should have been. Because it would have been topical.
They were just orbs.
I think the problem with having a poneglyph in a movie like this is that the poneglyphs are so important for canon that you can't have them show up in a non-canon sense because, well, why don't they know about it as much in the show?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
we have not gotten far enough into the series to discuss what the poneglyphs might be or might not be. But suffice to say that, yeah, having them show up here in a non-canon source would definitely affect things down the line.
Yeah. You know what else would affect things down the line?
What's that?
Our ad segment.
Yeah, our world-famous ad segment. So we are here once again with a advanced copy of Plorbs Ma Blorb's Adventure of Blorf. This is the 4th arc in this amazing tale. And as always, we will have one of us, this time Curtis, give us the description on the back of the book if it were in printed form.
In this edition, Blorf strides into battle on the back of a giant mini-Aussie. Around him is a whole army of people aback, different household pets.
Okay.
There are people flying in on canaries, and they're all fighting against the vicious video game characters who want to take up their time and take them away from their pets. Yes. This is all a giant symbolism for about time management and how we allot our time.
And how technology is taking over our lives and causing us to forget the real animal connections we make.
And the real question is, will there be any surprise appearances from unexpected happenstances in life?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Okay. Just want to make sure you weren't trying to lead me to say something that would be...
No. It's an open-ended question for readers.
I see.
You can only imagine what might happen.
Perfect. It's interesting because although this is the most action-packed arc of this series so far, with all of the household pet mounts and the video games and, the wizard's tower that shows up and it makes a surprise reappearance, it's actually the small things that stood out to me here. The quiet moments between battle, the scenes of preparation and the scenes of contemplation by the different characters. And for the first time, we actually have found someone who might be a love interest for Plorf. It's not fully developed in here. He meets this person and they seem to be forming a strong friendship, but maybe there's a little bit hint of something more that could be there. And truly being able to spend all of this time exploring the mind space of the character Blorf is just, it's a treat. And I'm glad that we are finally getting some of this reflection on the titular character. And that's it. So Catherine, do you have a prediction of what might be happening next?
Yes. I believe that in the next story, Blorf will finally seize the Star of Grand Destruction.
Oh.
I think that its power will start to overtake him. His veins will turn black and his eyes will slowly change from the kind, loving man we know to something harder and colder. And then I think that his friends will remind him of what he's fighting for, and he will hurl the star into the sea.
Okay, perfect. You don't think that the sea god would take this and become even more powerful?
Oh shit, he might.
Yeah, see, you have to be careful how you destroy your ancient artifacts.
I guess we're all just gonna have to read and find out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
A lot of people like to throw those things into volcanoes, but that's just giving more power to the people who live in the volcanoes.
Yeah, if those things retain heat, you just got to figure the volcano is like the hottest spot that you could possibly dispose of it. Get rid of it in the Antarctic. Nothing can possibly go wrong. The Antarctic.
Uprising of penguins.
All right, and that has been your ad segment. Okay, so does anyone have anything that they want to discuss about these movies? Does anyone have any quotes that stand out?
Oh, this isn't a quote.
Sorry, any moment that stands out is what I was saying.
I'm very confused as to why Zoro just blanketly does this thing and doesn't ask any questions and doesn't explain to his friends. His motivation eludes me.
Yes.
I get the idea he made a promise to his friend. Your promise to your friend was, I will become the world's greatest swordsman and you will become the sword of justice. Mm-hmm. What does that have to do with attacking a village and taking their sacred orbs? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I believe it's the Weekly Planet where I've heard this. That's another podcast. They talk video games and TV shows and comic books. But one of the hosts, Mason, likes to point out what movies can be solved by just putting a sticky note on the fridge. sort of thing. So if Zoro had just said, hey, I have a friend who's sick because of the orbs and I need them, then, Maya would have been able to be like, no, these are the purification thing. Who's your friend? Saga? He has the evil sword.
Yeah, it's like, all you have to do is have one conversation, and then you would be like, oh, I can help my friend better by helping these people instead.
Yep. This story, this movie, near the end, has a heavy emphasis on believing in your friends. So there's Luffy being like, I trust you to win this battle, and as your captain, I'll believe in you and make sure that you can finish it. But I don't feel like that's really a theme throughout the movie. I feel like most movies where they try to have this big poignant thing at the end, you need build-up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would have been much better if there had been someone who was like, Zoro's turned evil, and then Luffy or someone who has the most belief in him would say, no, I believe that he's doing this for a reason. We have to trust him. And then it turns out that maybe Zoro's trust was misplaced, and then that's why it's important to have friends that can help you out in tough situations.
Yeah. And another thing. So at the end, the sword is destroyed. And then it becomes part of him, and then it just evaporates.
Yep.
This is an ancient sword that's been doing this every 100 years.
Yep.
Before now, it has never been destroyed by doing the ritual.
Nope.
I mean, I guess the ritual is different.
I feel like this is the first time the sword has woken up since the last time when the priestess sacrificed herself. I thought that's what they were going for.
Oh. So, before they just left it in the temple, they did a little thing just to make sure, and then we're like, okay, see you all again in 100 years.
Yeah, basically. That's what I think is going down.
Okay.
Because that makes more sense than why did the sword get destroyed this time? Was the power of their friendship? No.
Yeah, I think if this movie were written better, I mean, like I said, this left me feeling completely whatever. But if it was written well, they could have done something where there was something about Saga's pride in being a swordsman and his belief in himself, such that at the very end he could have had that moment that we're very familiar with from other shows where the person corrupted by evil regains themselves. And in that moment, he might have been able to do something to, seal it away or something like, the sword's never fused with someone who regained consciousness, so I'm choosing to do something. But they choose to hand wave instead, so that's pretty great. We didn't get a single Usopp sniping moment in this episode.
No.
I guess we did get one of his inventions, the little tiny the Sky Rider that came out of his.
I was so excited because he's like, "Wait, I have an invention just for this purpose," and then it zooms in on. Well, we don't know it's zoomed in on it, but it has his the Sky Rider. Like he has a parachute, and then it zooms out, and the parachute is the size of his waist.
Yeah, maybe the size of his foot even. It's just coming out of his belt, right above his butt, and it's not strong enough to prevent him from falling.
Yeah, he's like, oh no, I made it too small. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Oh man. And I also couldn't quite I didn't fully understand how the sacred sword was able to brainwash the different Marines. I kind of figured it was whoever was holding it would be the one who was corrupted, but then it corrupts all of them. But if you have a strong enough will, you can hold out for just a second. That's what his name was Toma. Toma was able to retain himself for a little while.
You know what it was?
What's that?
His sideways hat.
Oh,
when you wear your hat sideways, it makes your will just a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
Because you have to put up with all the shit that people give you for having your hat sideways.
Are you ready for my favorite We Just Watched a One Piece Movie podcast segment?
Yeah.
What would you do to rewrite this movie to make it better? Curtis, go. Joel, go.
Okay, so you have Usopp and Luffy being separated from the crew and Zoro doing his own thing. Why not have Luffy and Zoro separated together? Maybe keep Usopp, maybe keep one other member if you want, but for the most part, have this be a story about Zoro. I don't know. He can still have his childhood friend of Saga, and every once in a while, whoever's accompanying him, Luffy could be like, hey, what's this? And Zoro would be like, I had a friend named Saga, and this seems really familiar. And basically have it be that Zoro is slowly trying to uncover whatever this mystery is. He finds clues that he's like, this is a weird secret sign that Saga and I used to carve into trees or whatever, and it's carved here. And then he finds Saga, and then he's like, Luffy, let me handle this. And they fight, and then maybe he loses and he learns some kind of a lesson. I don't know what kind of a lesson they want, like belief in whatever, but have Luffy never actually fight anyone. Have Luffy just be the cheerleader kind of thing to Zoro, and whenever it looks like Zoro's going to lose, Luffy be like, Zoro, I believe in you! And at the end of the movie, when you want the belief to be the important thing, you can now have Luffy who's the avatar of this belief. You could have Zoro, who's still this great swordsman who wants to be the greatest, so of course he can overcome the weird demon energy of the sacred sword. And when Maya finally believes in herself, because she's the one who's supposed to have the arc, I would argue that we didn't actually see it, but at the end, when she starts believing in Saga, that could be the thing that breaks the spell, showing how important belief is in other people.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well done.
I was thinking very hard about it. Well, because you only get the one instance of Luffy being like, Zoro's gonna be the strongest swordsman in the world! If you just had him doing that throughout the movie, that would just reinforce the motif.
Mm-hmm. I think I would have a little bit, rather than splitting up where Zoro is with Saga, Luffy and Usopp are on their own, and the rest of the Straw Hats are with the villagers. Mm-hmm. I'd keep it in two groups. Yeah. Like, so Zoro would be on his own, and then all of the Straw Hats would be with the villagers, right?
Yeah.
And we would see a little bit more of Saga, like, trying to manipulate Zoro and explaining, like, oh, well, I need this because of this, and, like, and lying to him. Mm-hmm. And then when they eventually have a conflict between the two factions, Zoro would be, like, torn and arguing with the crew members, as opposed to just, like, quietly going about his business, right?
Yeah.
And not explaining himself. And then that ultimate conflict would come at the end, and then he would realize, oh, you guys are right, you're my crew member, you're my crew. Mm-hmm. And then he would turn on Saga.
Yeah, I don't mind having characters that are stoic and reserved, but I think that having a little bit more expressiveness from Zoro really would have helped emphasize what his stakes were in this movie.
And, you know, keep Zoro being stoic, keep Zoro not, like, I think that you could have Zoro in present canon be himself, where he doesn't explain shit, basically, and he doesn't show emotion. But if he were on this journey on his own, you could give him little flashbacks that would give us the insight into what he might be thinking. So even though he doesn't express those emotions, we, the viewer, are able to understand.
We feel the emotions. And even just when when Zoro showed up to battle the villagers and take the orbs, having him give a throwaway line to Sanji or Nami or something that's just, this is just something I have to do. You know? Like, a single line where he's not necessarily explaining himself, but he's also not just ignoring the feelings of his crew members.
Yep. Absolutely.
Well, and you can be stoic and still have, like, and still talk.
Yep.
Like, stoic doesn't necessarily mean completely silent.
Yeah.
So it's, like, because we've seen Zoro in canon argue with people over whether or not you should do something, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, like, I feel like it wouldn't be out of character. It's just, it was, I think, lazy writing. It is obviously a filler movie, and they're not necessarily trying to
break new ground or anything.
Yeah.
I did like how at the beginning of the movie, Luffy says something to Nami along the lines of, I'm the captain, I get to decide things. And then during the climactic battle at the end, when Zoro was like, Luffy, stay back, I'm going to be the one to kill this guy, Luffy repeated, Zoro, I'm the captain. But it was in a very different context, and this time he was going along with what his crewmate was saying.
Yes, absolutely.
I was a little confused by the line, but I think I didn't read the whole thing. I think I missed part of it.
I think it was just basically, as your captain, I'll make sure that you're able to finish your fight, was like the full thing. And so just basically, if the guy tries to like throw you off the arena, I'll throw you back on the arena. Okay. So you can get, I guess, I don't know. Some other note that I saw on the wiki that I just absolutely did not catch. Apparently the last movie, Dead End Adventure, ended with the Straw Hats being chased by the same Marine that is chasing them at the beginning of this movie. Oh. Which is interesting because they definitely one set before Sky Island, one set after, so this guy waited patiently for them to come back down and then resume the chase. Yep. But
maybe the movies take place in an alternate universe where they never went to Sky Island.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, because is this supposed to be after Sky Island?
Kind of. So the only thing is that the Usopp didn't recognize, or he recognized the wanted poster for Zoro. He didn't go, Zoro's wanted, and that didn't happen until right before the knock-up stream.
That's true.
So maybe this was a Sky Island adventure, and all that blue water was just painted clouds. I don't know.
It was blue clouds. It's a new type of cloud that we are just learning about.
They are blue clouds.
Yes, yes. That's the gist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the baseball game at all?
I want to talk about baseball, Professor. I love that Japan has a bizarre obsession with baseball. Like, that to me is incredibly amusing, and I can't explain why. I think it's because my schema for baseball is that it's an American sport. And so it kind of plays into the old trope that Japan is obsessed with America. But yeah, apparently baseball in Japan is like football here. It's huge. They love baseball.
I've heard that it's a pretty big sport over there, so it doesn't surprise me that the two specials we have gotten have been soccer, one of the world's most famous sports, and then baseball, one of Japan's favorites as well.
Can I give a brief anecdote?
Yeah.
A personal one. So when I visited and I was in Hiroshima right around the holidays, and they love doing Christmas lights or like holiday lights, whatever. They have them up for months.
Okay.
And they had a special area with all these like light sculptures.
Okay.
It's like there was one that was like a ship and then like tunnels and that sort of
So
stuff.
to be clear, are you saying that it's like it's some kind of figure that has lights wrapped on it? Okay.
Yeah, it's like they a lot of times it's like wireframe structures that they then tie the lights to.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. They had one that was a baseball hat, and it looks just like a Cincinnati Reds baseball hat. I was super confused. I was like, why do they have a Cincinnati Reds baseball hat, a giant one, in Hiroshima?
For Christmas.
Yes. I found out later that I think their team is like the Red Dragons or something like that, and they use the same logo, or at least it's either the same or it's similar enough that I didn't notice the difference. And so I was like, oh, okay.
That's amazing. I love that. My only other thought while we were watching this was, is this a mother heckin' JoJo's reference? Because of the baseball scene in JoJo's? But, like, obviously not. It's just both things are touching on baseball. It was funny in my head, Joel. JoJo's are memes.
Viewers, you cannot see, or listeners, you cannot see the look I was giving my wife, causing her to abruptly change mid-sentence.
Viewers, you can see the look he's giving. And also, how are you viewing us?
Here, wait. I'll take a picture.
No,
and then when this
my
episode
face is
goes
gone.
live, I'll tweet it. He's making a different face now because I'm annoying him.
No, you heard him. His face is completely gone.
Now you're the ghost on the podcast.
No, I'm just the faceless one.
I think we talked about this the last time we had a sports short. What sport do you want to see next?
Basketball. I want them to do a crossover with an anime that I've heard of but not seen.
Oh, the basketball
Yeah,
one?
this was a Boku no Basketball, I think.
Maybe. I don't know. There's Haikyuu, which is volleyball. That's a huge one right
I was
now.
going to say volleyball would be fun if you wanted to go for the crossover. I want to see tennis. I think Nami and Robin doing tennis against, like, the bad guy ladies would be super
Oh,
cute.
yeah. They could have like a tournament.
Mhm.
A tournament with the different One Piece characters and like, or the different Straw Hats on different teams, and they would have to fight or play against each other too.
I would love that. Give me a short that is Kobe and Helmeppo and Garp doing dodgeball, because he's a very good thrower. You haven't gotten to the scene that I'm thinking of, but just I can imagine him with like gah, and they're like trying to dodge, and these rubber balls are like going through the wood paneling of the walls, and Kobe's just like, no, please, I want to live.
No, here we go. Imagine Garp, right, as the mentor character from Dodgeball the movie. There are 5 rules in Dodgeball,
Dodge,
man.
dip, dive, duck, and dodge.
You stole it. I wanted to say the line, but
I'm sorry.
good job.
We were all thinking of the same line. This is great.
It's fine.
Okay, so this is gonna get weird. Stay with me.
Uh-oh.
Give me a One Piece mini golf game movie, because mini golf always has like the weird, like the windmill, and it has like the clown mouth, and One Piece would be the perfect place to take that to the extreme. An entire island that is nothing but these crazy loop-de-loop rockets firing off in order to direct your colorful golf balls. And
So I like your idea better,
okay,
but I'm going to give you my idea because it's like very weird. I can't think of the word right now. It would be odd.
okay.
mini golf, but instead of the main characters playing it, it's just other people, and all of the obstacles are the One Piece characters.
Okay.
All right.
How about, so you've got mini golf, right?
Yep.
And let's say one of the people playing is Buggy. The first time he encountered, like, the big clown with its mouth open, he'd throw his putter. He'd throw his putter down and he'd go, "These people are making fun of me!" And he'd have a Buggy meltdown.
Okay. Here's another one. This isn't sports related, but give me a One Piece movie a little bit longer than these 5-minute ones, but not quite the full length of a movie. Just have them go to a carnival island. Just have Sanji trying to win Nami a teddy bear from some game, and then he wins it, and she's kind of impressed, but then, like, Luffy wins an even bigger one, and she's just so excited, and Sanji's like, "You son of a gun." Have Chopper and Zoro in bumper cars, and at first Zoro isn't taking it very seriously, but as he starts to lose to Chopper, he gets more and more into it. He's like, "No, come on!" And then eventually, like, as he sets his sight on Chopper, Robin takes him out somehow. He's just like, "No, are you kidding me?"
You could also have a clip of Zoro with, like, the strength tester in the air.
I was just
and
thinking
he's,
that.
like, bringing it down all excited. That would be great.
I was thinking him, Luffy, and Sanji all doing that, and like trying to see who would get higher, and then like one of them would get higher than the next one's like, "No, let me back up there. I can go higher."
That'd be so good. Imagine Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji doing the dunk tank. Like, not being the ones to throw the ball. They're all sitting in their individual dunk tanks that are side by side, and Usopp set up some kind of like a sniper thing that hits all three of them, and then Luffy starts drowning because he can't swim, and everyone's like, "Oh no!"
All right, so I need fan art of the Straw Hats at a carnival immediately. I need to see Robin smiling her perfect smile and eating cotton candy, and I want it on my desk by Monday.
Hang on. Robin eating cotton candy would be great. Robin and Chopper in the food court area, she's doing her "I'm the mom of the crew" smiling at him fondly as he eats cotton candy, which is canonically his favorite.
Oh, I love it.
Also, bonus points if, like, Panda Man is in the mini go-kart race track or something in the background.
He would be a carny running one of the things.
Yeah, he would.
I don't think you could make a whole movie out of this, so it would have to be a short, but I'd love to see professional wrestling Straw Hats.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Just either masked wrestling or, like, WWE style. And Luffy's in the ring and he's just like, "Ha! Ha! I'm posing. You can't see me posing." And the guy comes up behind him and he just, like, turns around and pistols him out of the ring and then goes back to posing.
Imagine if someone grabbed Luffy, and I don't know the names of the wrestling moves, but suplex is when you, like, bend over, right? And imagine that they do the suplex and he just, like, bloing, like, against the ground, like, what the hell?
Oh. Your sound effect reminded me. The one interesting / funny / kind of weird thing about the baseball short, every time Nami was on screen, it made a boing sound and would look at her boobs.
If you have ever watched anime that has the blatant shot of the woman's boobs, it was that sound. It's a very specific sound that shows up in all media.
That's not the boing I thought you were talking about.
Oh, what were you going to say?
The hippo. The hippo rhino.
We didn't talk about the hippo rhino.
I know. We need to back up.
Okay.
So this was in the actual movie, not the baseball one. The cursed sword one. So when they're flying, they're going from the ocean, they fly off a ramp, and they're not going to make it to water. They hit the ground, but they bounce off of something, and that something is a hippo that looks up and sees the Going Merry, and its eyes turn to hearts. And then at the end of the movie, when they're sailing away, there's something in the water next to them, and it's the hippo. It comes up and it wants to, like, it has fallen in love with the Going Merry, and it just wants to. It apparently is proposed.
Yeah, and it was saved by them or something, I guess is what Chopper says. And
I think the scene where they originally bounce off of it, I think there was supposed to be, like, another monster there that they had knocked off.
Oh, maybe.
By hitting it with their ship. We just all somehow missed it, so...
I saw something else in, like, its mouth, so maybe it was choking?
Oh,
they, like, bounce off it? Oh, okay. I'm going to accept that as canon, because I refuse to watch this movie again.
Anyway, yeah, the hippo said, "You saved me, and now I'm in love with your ship," which is interesting. Robin indicates that the hippo is a girl, and so... ships are girls, so we have our first canon lesbian couple in One Piece. I guess it's not canon because it's in a movie.
Could we... Okay, so I'm sorry that we're bouncing around, listeners, but Could we have a carny movie where the bad guy is Kat's favorite trope of the evil, like, circus ringleader type person? I know circuses and amusement parks aren't exactly the same, but I think they're wacky enough. You could probably mix them together.
You can have, like, stage shows at carnivals or parades or whatever. So, yes, I demand an evil ringleader. And his thing is that he sees Chopper and he wants to make Chopper into an exhibit at this carnival.
Oh my god. Or a special grand prize because he knows that he'll be able to get all the little kids to flock to this, like, one rigged game in order to take all of their money.
Yes.
Also, since it seems that Luffy's luck is just incredible, like, all the time, what are the chances that he happened to find the 3 towers that we were talking about that you needed for the ritual, and he just happened to find the gems, and he just happened to find... It's just one coincidence after another with this boy. So the way he, at first, slows down the carny bad guys' plot is by having insane luck. There's no way that he could roll 2 6. Holy crap, he did it!
Would you say it's a Deus Ex Machina?
No one was saved by a monkey in the machine.
Monkey of God.
Oh, I guess you're right. You changed the machina, so it would be God in the monkey.
I think that has been your
Final thought. Outro goes here.
So next week we will be doing a One Piece special called Protects the Last Great Performance. It's not full movie length. I think it's an OVA. And in addition, because it's not as long as the movie, we're going to be tackling the next 2 episodes of the anime, which I believe are episodes 185 and 186. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye. Outro goes here.
One Piece Baseball King writer tip. The soccer special ended with "it was all a dream," but this one didn't, so is this one more canon than the last one? Keep it consistent, goddammit! So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are KingOfTheWhatPod. KingOfTheWhatPod at gmail.com, patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod, KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.